Then 2016 came, and it was just a flurry of hailstorms, that spring. And it was so many that, a lot of us new guys got our opportunity. And when I got mine, I didn't let it go. I parlayed that first deployment into like 9 months, where I worked from March up until like November, really up until like beginning of November, all of 2016 as a new adjuster. So if you got the drive and the will to do it, to get it done, it's out there. It's definitely out there. These hurricanes, though, now is a good time for you all to get in because you don't want to work these as a newbie. I'm just going to be honest. You do not want a hurricane to be your first deployment. I had a couple buddies. Hurricane was their first deployment, and they struggled. You need to get in the spring so you can get those little hailstorms where the damage is pretty much consistent and it's always the same stuff, to where you can get some sort of repetition built to where you know and learn how to use the software, the process that the company that you're working for wants you to use. And it's a little easier for you, to learn the ins and outs. Then you get you a hurricane or two, possibly. If you about tornadoes, wind, light wind, and you want to learn about, fire losses. Because, that's outside of Mother Nature giving us 3 hurricanes in a year. That's probably going to be the majority of your work doing this type of work. So I'm lucky because, like I said, my wife's Charlene and Brett are best friends. So, this kind of fell into my lap, but it did come at a time when, I was struggling. And like I said, I haven't looked back. I don't think that I'll make adjusting my career per se, but doing this job will allow you to do everything else that you want to do, business-wise. You go adjust for some months out of the year. A lot of adjusters do have other businesses, that they do have, outside of adjusting, making things that, we as Black people don't do of, but that we need to do more of. So it just opens doors to places that, you wouldn't get there working a 9 to 5. Nobody will, actually. It don't really matter what color you are, but nobody will get there working a 9 to 5. You got to have access to bigger money in order to make your dreams happen. This is an avenue. It's not a sales pitch. You got to do the work. You get the license, you still got to do the work. But if you do the work, there's always money out there in this field. Always. So before I started doing this, I worked in flavor chemistry. All of you all should know where Grand and Broadway is, where Procter and Gamble is. There's a company down there that I used to work for that they make flavors for a lot of the companies, ice cream, cookies, milk products, beverages, all types of different applications, and I worked in research and development in the lab. To most people, that's a pretty good job. I mean, insurance, guaranteed 40 hours a week at least, no weekends, all the holidays off, some perks, baseball tickets to games, things of that nature. But, I was making like $16, $17 an hour. I mean, when you break it down and calculate that ain't even $40,000 a year. And it was hard. My check was, that ain't no small money. I mean, it's a lot of people that don't make that much. $10, $11, $12 an hour is pretty good for an hourly job. I was above that, but, after taxes and insurance and all that, my check every 2 weeks was maybe $1,100, $1,200.
God.
I'm gonna make more than that today with just the 3 claims I'm closing. The first one I did, I'm gonna make about $600-700 off it, and I got 3 more to do. So I'm gonna probably make about $1,500 today. Not 2 weeks, today. And I got 7 days, 7 more days of this, before I get another check. It's a big difference. My wife was sick. My son, he was in NICU for a month. So, I had bills. $1,100 every 2 weeks just wasn't cutting it. Like I said, Ms. Deborah and Charlene, they decided to start doing these classes. And I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, listening to her and my wife talk about it. I knew Charlene had worked in insurance, but I didn't know to what extent, at the time when this was all happening. And, I decided, I'm going to come to the symposium. And, I listened to Ms. Deborah, I listened to Charlene. I was like, you know what? I really don't have anything to lose, but I have everything to gain, by doing this. So, I decided to take the class too. And after that, me and my cousin, we took the class together. And we pretty much went to pilot together, did our evaluation. All of us, we both got deployed at the same time. We were actually taking a content certification class with Charlene and Ms. Deborah. But yeah, all of us got called within a week. And like I say, it's been on since then. But like I said, you all have an advantage because when we took the class, Charlene and Ms. Deborah, they weren't doing a lot of adjusting by that time. They were trying to get companies off the ground, so they got us in the door, but after that, it was only so much they could tell us, so we had to kind of learn things the way they were doing it now compared to how they were doing it when they were adjusting, so it was a little rougher, but you all now have how many classes y'all done had since mine? You all have a lot of adjusters out there now that's gone through the process.
Yep.
We've seen what's out there, and you got a more of a heads up as to what to expect and what you need to do, to be prepared. So, I mean, you're in a much better position than I was, when I started. I kind of had to learn everything again. Like I said, Charlene, Ms. Deborah got me through the door, but once I got through the door, it was a learning process. And I have no construction background whatsoever. I have none. Everything that I know today, I learned in the field. If you can pay attention, and pick up on stuff quick, you'll be fine. With this game, it's about organization and not falling behind. Those are two worst things you can do as an adjuster is be unorganized and get in the hole. Because that's how these companies are grading you as you're out there. All they want to know is, can you close a claim and can you close it accurately? If you can do that, they'll keep you working until you get tired. So take advantage of your resources that you have. That list that they gave you with all those firms on them, start getting on rosters. Make the Weather Channel your friend. Companies work in them areas where they have the bad weather, so you can call them when you see it. Things like that. This is you basically running your own small business. So treat it as such. Anything else you all want me to talk to them about? First year after getting deployed, and like I said, I didn't work a full year. I worked from the end of March to around the beginning of November, and I think I cleared about 80 in just that short amount of time. Maybe more than that. Something like that, 80, 90, something like that, in what's that, about 8 months. Brand spanking new. Now I'm not leaving as much on the table anymore, and like I said, I got to work Hurricane Irma. I was there. I was in Melbourne, Brevard County, Florida, for 9 weeks. I made about $3,000 or $4,000 a day on that storm. every day, every day.
Yeah,
And that was just off 9 weeks. You know, I had spent January, mid-January, through the end of March in the Bay Area, California, with Pilot. I was there working. You know, they had a heavy rain at the beginning of 2017, and I think after that, I went to Amarillo, Texas for a month, from April to the beginning of May. Then I went to Chicago for about 6 weeks. Then I went to Peoria for a month. Then I went back to Chicago for about a month. And that's right around the time that, oh no, I'm sorry. I went to Nebraska after I left Peoria for about 3 weeks. Then I went to Chicago for about a month. And then that's right around the time when Harvey and Irma and all of that stuff was starting to transpire. So, you know, up until that point, I had pretty much worked all year, you know, not including what I made in that 9 weeks in Florida. You know, I still worked previous to that. And like I said, I didn't leave Florida till December 10th. I worked that from like September 23rd to about December 10th. I took a week. I came home for Thanksgiving for a week. And then I went back for 2 weeks. And I probably made another 15,000, 20,000 in that 2 weeks that I went back. And then I was done after that because, you know, the work started to trickle in. My expenses was more than what I was actually making, waiting on 4 or 5 claims at a time. So I was like, I'm done after this. And I went home and I was good. I was done up until I got the Puerto Rico call, which was January 11th, actually. It was the day that I got back from the NACA convention. Every year, National Association of Catastrophe Adjusters, they have a convention in Las Vegas. And I went to that convention, talked to about, I don't know how many firms. I maybe talked to about 15, 20 firms, and about 10 or 11 of them have daily claims that they run in St. Louis, which is what I went to look for because I wanted to try to work more from home, you know, as much as I can, because I'm, you know, the last 2.5 years I've been a road warrior pretty much. I have managed to come home for special occasions, you know, trips, graduations, first day of school, you know, things of that nature, but it was only for a short period of time. So I've been on the road. So I was trying to find stuff closer to home, which I did, you know, and I had the experience now, you know, after working some hurricanes and stuff like that, where, you know, a bunch of them companies was like, yeah, when you get back, fill out the app and, you know, you got the experience, we'll put you to work. And I was like, fine, okay, I can get stuff from home. And as soon as I got off the plane and got in the driveway, Pilot called me about Puerto Rico. And that wasn't the first. They had called me when I got off the plane going to Las Vegas. They called me about Georgia. And then they called me twice the day I got back. You know, one for Chicago, and then they called me with Puerto Rico. And the nice thing about getting the experience and becoming seasoned is that, you know, you can tell them no. You know, I was at NACA. I was like, nope, not going to do it. I just got here. I paid my money. I'm going to be at this convention. They called me about Chicago. Nope, I'm not going to Chicago for day rate. Not going to do it. And they still called me again for Puerto Rico. So, I mean, when you get to a certain level where they know you're good, they will continue to call you and give you opportunities. They called me about twice while I was in Florida, but I was, you know, already deployed. So I couldn't really do anything at that particular time. I said no to that. It come out to be about $3,300 a week, about $3,400 a week. I'm not gonna say it's sometimes, but like I talked to you about earlier, Chicago is one of those markets that will eat you up and spit you out without the bones if you don't know what you're doing. only way you get blacklisted is if you pay for stuff and you know you shouldn't. Which
If you
do not redeploy.
Yes.
DNR. You do not want to be on that list.
Yeah.
If you have construction experience, then yeah, you might be okay. Your biggest thing would be using Xactimate to be able to put in what you actually scope. Everybody else though that does not have construction experience, that is why you don't want a hurricane to be your first storm, because if you run on a house and a tree pancake the roof, you're gonna have to know how to fix that.
Okay.
And it ain't guaranteed you're gonna have field support or somebody out there to help you and show you what you need. It's not guaranteed that you're gonna get all the photos you need to take them back where you need to take them to show somebody what it is you need to fix. Yeah, and you're gonna run up on that all over the place during a major hurricane. You know, and if you can't scope it, you ain't hurt nobody but yourself. You know, you're gonna get about 2-3 of these a day, and in about 4 or 5 days, you're gonna be in trouble. But like I said, for you with construction experience, then don't listen to that part. I mean, you would probably do okay on a hurricane if you are able to use the software efficiently. Everybody else, no. I don't know exactly what it is yet because even myself, I haven't calculated it all. You know, from the time before I went to Irma, you know, I figure it had to be pushing 200 though, at least. Well, with Irma all together. My thing is, I want to finish it today, and I want to send it to them today. Right. Everything that I scoped today, I want to send it to them today. So if I was to scope 4 or 5 of these, you know, I run into a situation where, you know, that last one or one and a half, you know, it's going to linger into the next day. And now I'm building a pile that I got to finish up. And I would rather be done. Like I said, I got 2 more to do. I'll be done by dark, and then the rest of the night is for me to either go to sleep, go get some dinner, or whatever I want to do, and be done. So it took me probably about 4 hours to scope the claims I had today, but the first one wasn't until 9:30. So I started at 9:30. I was probably done by about 1:30. About 11:30 our time. So I started probably about 7:30 our time.
That's not bad.
The most challenging thing is writing that estimate. You know, I mean, unless you've worked with Xactimate before, you're not gonna have a clue pretty much. Everything else is kind of stuff that you already know, you know. Customer service, scheduling, like I said, organization, scheduling your appointments, making sure you got all your equipment, making sure all your equipment is working, spacing your appointments out to where you got proper drive time in between to make sure you get to them on time. All of that stuff is simple. The hard part is after you scope them all and you come back to the room or whatever, okay, now you got to put all of this in a form that the insurance company is going to understand and what they want to see. You can learn how to do it, though. It's just that it's probably going to be the biggest Achilles heel you have starting out is navigating Xactimate and navigating whatever system your carrier is using at that time. It's not impossible. You know, it's just a learning curve that you're going to have. The rest of it, it's really not much to it. You know, you'll figure out what your process is as you do more and more. Because, like I said, when I first started, you know, I didn't know what to do. Had never scoped a claim before. Had never used Xactimate for real before. So, you know, I had a basic idea of what I needed to look for when I went out to scope a claim. Take pictures, front, left, rear, right. It was on a hailstorm, so I'm checking gutters, windows, window screens, garage doors, fences, and noting any, possible hail damage on the roof, marking out my test square. Well, luckily, the storms I worked, there was no brainer type of hail stuff. There was no confusing the storms I worked in, Dallas and San Antonio in 2016, whether it was hail damage on that roof or not. But, doing that and then going back and putting it in a form that you can understand, or that the insurance company can understand. So that'll be your toughest assignment, is writing the estimate, preparing it for closure, and closing it out. That's because that's the name of the game, is closing them. You can scope it, you can enter all your notation, but if you can't send the insurance company an estimate and a note saying that you closed this claim and you settled with the insured, then you ain't done the job. You can do everything else up until that point, but if you ain't closed it, you haven't done anything in their eyes. They want to see how many have you closed. And are you closing them on a regular basis in a timely fashion? So that's going to be the toughest thing that you're going to go through learning-wise, along with the, Xactimate and the claim closing process. Once you got that, it's pretty much going to be the same everywhere you go. It's just everybody's going to have their little tweaks on the same system. This person wants to do it this way. This person wants you to cut out this step and do it another way. But once you know what to do from front to back, it's a breeze. It's probably the easiest job I've ever had. I mean, it's a lot of work, but, I know what to expect. And I'm not a person. I don't like to sit at a desk all day, so I wouldn't be a good inside adjuster. I like to be at ground zero, so to say, for two reasons. I get the experience. The more I work, and then the money is a lot bigger as well. The money is pretty much, I'm determining what the money's going to be because I'm the one that's writing the estimate. But you also want to do it within the company guidelines. You'll get a set of guidelines and policies and things like that. You gain that customer service trust from your insurers which helps you in the long run with the company, because when you can have a person that you didn't give any money to say you provide a good customer service, then you've done a good job. I had claims where I couldn't pay them a dime, but it's all about how I handled it, which is why they send me to places like Chicago. But it also has my phone blowing up whenever I'm not deployed, where I can do that pick and choose. But yeah, when they figure out that you can, that you can make an irate insured subdued, then they send you to those lions dens like Chicago. The money, don't worry about the money, because the money's gonna be there. You're not gonna make any if you don't know the process, though. So that is the main thing that you want to take the time right now to do. Hone your skills on Xactimate. The best else is a step towards earning your money using Xactimate. So you can take a certification if you get on with some companies and they offering them, or even if you got to spend it for them. Xactimate one, even through Xactware, I think is about $100-$200 a session.
Yep.
Money well spent to hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tax deductible. You're doing it for your business. So from here on out, everything you do that's related to your job, is a deduction for you, you know, because it's an expense. Even years where I didn't make, the first year where I didn't make no money, like 2015, when I first got licensed, I didn't make any money from adjusting that year, but I was still able to use those tax benefits because I did set up, you know, my sole proprietorship in order to be able to do that. So I still got the tax benefits even though I didn't make any funds from actually adjusting. So, you know, keep that in mind. Everything that you do from here on out is an investment, you know, to get you out there the right way, you know, when they do come calling. All right. This is what I get up in the morning and look at before I go run my claims every day. And you too one day can be out here like I am. The eastern coast of Puerto Rico. I'm in Fajardo. That's one of the bonuses too, is that you know, Puerto Rico is probably the most exotic location I've been on, but you do get to travel and you get to see stuff. And yeah, this there's an island out all the way off in the background, which is part of Puerto Rico too. It's called Guayaquil, and it's an island off the coast. So you can take a ferry to it.
So how much is that running you, Jeff? That tax deductible condo?
I'm on about the 20th floor of this condo high rise. I'm right on the water. Airbnb, where I am paying $75 a night.
2 bedrooms. And you got a room.
2 bedrooms, washer and dryer, full kitchen.
Is it just him?
In the cost. Here go the unit, so you can see. Good luck to y'all in your class, and like I said, Xactimate and adjusting firms is where you need to be focused after this test. That's where your attention needs to be right now. Xactimate, adjusting firms. That's all you need to be thinking right now. That way, when you get that phone call, you'll at least have some knowledge of what to look for and what to expect. You'll have a good start. You'll have a real good start. Buenas noches.